Okay, hey everybody, and welcome to Under the Radar, where we are on the home stretch, where we have been playing Sorcery, Steve Jackson Sorceries, for what feels like eons now, but we are finally beginning the final chapter. So let's just dive right into it. So as a quick plot summary for my last God, how many episodes? This is taking way longer than I thought it would. Anyway, yeah, so I defeated all the seven serpents, even though it took me 30 days, acquired Flanker Sword, and saved Kare from the Marsh Goblins. I have 14 stamina, which is pretty abysmal, considering I started with 20, but this has been a very taxing journey for me, both in-game and out of game. I have 8 gold, 1 rations, 22 magical items, half of which I don't know how to use since I lost my spellbook. 1 treasure, 2 keys, and 4 weapons. Alright, well, without further ado, let's dive right into the final chapter, The Crown of Kings. Ooh, ominous. There is a legend. Long ago, or so they say, the ancient world was prosperous and free. From Kakabad Sea to Lake Lumile, harvests were plentiful, people were happy. And can you hear me over this music, which is surprisingly loud this time? All was at peace. All was at peace, even the thundering skies were calm, tamed by the arts of the sorcerers of Mampang. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. No, not really. A fearsome sorcerer leveled the cities and turned the fields to dust with towers of devastating light. He heard no plea, cutting down village after village. The mages scrabbled to defend the ancient world, but they were weak. Finally, the last archmage sealed the walls of Mampang and sent out 7 deadly serpents to keep the dark sorcerer away. All 7 died. And now here you are, climbing the narrow pass into the mountains of High Zaman. The price of your journey across the Baklands has already been paid. Now the Anuland is coming to Mampang, and nothing will be allowed to stand in his path. The crown will be yours. This is interesting because it seems like it might be, whoa, it's like 3D map. Wow, they really pulled out all the stops for this one. And once again, the music doesn't last quite long enough to do the title, but well, so it goes. Yeah, I'm really impressed with the whole 3D map thing, which is kind of cool. Part 4, The Crown of Kings. But it's interesting, though, because at the very end of the final chapter and at the beginning of this chapter, it sort of seems like it's trying to paint me as the villain, which is interesting. I'm curious if there's going to be a little bit more moral complexity to what's going on here. Am I really just the evil guy trying to destroy the old world, or am I simply trying to reclaim what is rightfully my country's? It's interesting. Yeah, that's true. I guess that's a good point, Forlong. The previous chapters did have some 3D in the mountains and plains, but I mean this castle is like a whole step up. It's weird. I almost wish I could kind of like rotate around it, but I can't really. So anyway, all right, let's go. What It must be morning by now. You have been awake all night and are weaker for it. Oh, jeez. You climb an ancient staircase worn to almost nothing by the years. Long ago, these steps were etched with messages, warnings, and words of advice and succor to the acolytes making the pilgrimage to the fortress, but they have long since been scrubbed away by dust, and the remaining marks tell you nothing. You open your pack to check your provisions, but the results are bleak. You have enough for 1 meal and no more. But at least you have 2 portions of raw fish, which will be edible if you can find a way to cook them. In the distance, black smoke curls upward. At least you have your blade. You draw your assassin sword an inch from its scabbard, its edge flashing in the sunlight. It is a fine, strong weapon. You are well armed for whatever terrors lie ahead. Pulling up your hood against the chill air, you stride onwards through the meager mountain sunlight. You must not linger out here. Yeah, I'm assuming that this game is going to have a little less wandering ability since this is like the final chapter, so I'm assuming it's going to be more plot heavy than like adventure heavy, unlike the other ones. But it still seems like there's probably going to be a healthy amount of choices here, so I'm interested to see how it goes. You reflect on your progress with a heavy heart as you climb. The Bachlands were a cursed place, and your journey across them was slow. Even with the serpents defeated, caution would be wise. It is possible that other messengers will have brought news of your presence to the Archmage's ears. You walk on, head high. Up the steps. The air stirs a little, still cold, but fresh at least. The Zanzunu peaks rise on either side like jagged teeth. The path winds back and forth as it climbs, and glimpses of the brooding horror of Mompang come and go. You should make progress while the sun is high. Yeah, I'll sing. I'm a nice guy. I'm a cool guy. You try to sing as you climb, an old Analan song that tells of a wandering wizard and his 3 small children, but even you cannot be jolly in this dread place. The song dies in your throat. Well, that's bleak. Then again, that just sort of matches the really bleak and depressing tone that I've set for this adventure. Rough undergrowth springs up, lining the path on either side. Perhaps one of the acolytes who climbed this way years ago dropped something of use. You pause and push back the undergrowth with the blade of your sword, and then jump as you disturb a nestling spike-hawk. The creature flaps in alarm. You stay well and clear, and the hawk screams and flaps its wide wings, but does not chase you. Ahead, the stair curves away out of sight. You can see nothing of what lies around the next corner. You resume the climb up the endless stairs. Hey, caves are always fun. I've always had good experiences in caves. As the morning moves on, the wind begins to rise. You reach the top of the stairs. Rounding the corner, you find 3 cave mouths set into the rock. You regard the caves with interest. The middle cave has the smallest entrance and probably opens into a niche and nothing more. The nearest cave would be large enough for a fire, but looks deep enough to contain any number of nasty surprises. A series of hoofprints leads into the mouth of the furthest cave. You take a closer look at the hoofprints. They are deep enough to suggest the largest creature, but they are no longer fresh. They are at least a few days old. You also note there are no prints coming out of the cave. How about let's start things off with a howl. Sounds like a good way to figure out what the heck's going on. I also may want to lower the volume a touch. Howl. You cast a spell and a familiar voice begins to speak to you. Every cave has its dangers, the voice informs you. The smallest cave requires courage, the largest brawn. What the third cave requires you never find out, and the spell fades once more. Yeah, let me just set this a little bit, just 1 notch down. Alright, perfect. Alright, well, I'm a brave guy, right? Maybe, sometimes. Who's there? You call, hoping the owner of the hoofprints will appear, but there's no response. The caves are unlikely to contain anything but nasty surprises, surely. Yeah, let's do this small cave, because I'm brave. I'm a brave hero. Brave, brave, brave. Nope. You approach to the smallest cave mouth and kneel down to peer inside. You may be able to crawl inside, but it would be in a tight squeeze. You call a wordless greeting into the cave mouth, listening for the echo, ready to react should you disturb any creatures. Nothing stirs. As your eyes adjust to the darkness within, you can see that beyond the entrance the space opens somewhat. Moving quickly, you crawl into the mouth of the cave. Hey cave, what up? You are barely through the entrance of the cave when a terrible howling noise booms around the tiny chamber. You wait a moment and slowly your eyes adjust to the dark, but you can still see nothing in the chamber. Suddenly, a tiny creature brushes your leg. The heck is it, a Muppet? The thing is a jib-jib, no more dangerous than an overgrown mouse. Covered in fur and no larger than a bomba fruit, it stands on 2 duck-like feet. Its body must be mostly lungs, as despite its size, when it howls, it makes a noise like a horn. You leave the creature. It howls a few more times, but it is beginning to realize you are not afraid. A moment later, it scurries away out of the cave. The cave appears otherwise empty. This would be a dry, well-protected place to rest if it was nighttime, but it is too early to eat. Too early to sleep. I don't want to burn my ration just yet. Time to move on. Mompang awaits. You step outside the cave to the ridge once more. The sun is blistering hot now. The path continues on past the caves. Oh, that's pretty good for long. Although, if this was an endless staircase, then I'd never be able to get up it because there's no way in hell I'd collect enough power stars to beat this game. Fortunately, that doesn't seem to be how things work here. Alright, let's check out the Hoofprint Cave. Stepping towards the northernmost cave, you see a few more sets of older hoof marks near the mouth. The cave appears to be deep but quite empty. Whatever creature made the hoof prints, it has either left another way or is hiding in the furthest shadows. You step inside the mouth of the cave, but in a moment you stop, for sitting on a rock just inside the mouth of the cave is a figure. The figure is in shadow, but it is human-like, naked. A long mane of hair sweeps down over its back, which is turned towards you. Clearly, you are treading quietly, as the figure has not turned around. Nice guy, I'm gonna be nice, no matter what. Who's there? You call out. The figure makes no reaction. Will you not greet me, you call? Still nothing. Perhaps the creature is deaf? You reach out to touch the creature's shoulder. The figure shudders a moment, then slides from its rock to the floor. You look over at the creature. It is a woman with a human torso, but her legs are thick with hair and ended hoofs. Her face is a blend of human and goat-like features, and two short horns rise from her forehead. She is quite clearly dead. You briefly search the goat lady's body, but she is carrying nothing. Her skin is quite cold. It is hard work digging in the dirt of the cave floor with your assassin sword, but after an hour or so you have made a pit deep enough to roll the body into. You lay it down as gently as you can, then move the dirt back over it once more. The dust clears and you are left quite alone. You head outside once more, leaving the solemn earth mound behind. Is there a day progression system? You head back to the ridge. The sun has reached its highest point now. Where to next? You approach the cave mouth and peer inside. It seems to stretch back a long way. You take a few more steps into the mouth of the cave. The cave quickly opens a wide chamber. You stop a short distance inside and look around, waiting for your eyes to adjust to the dark. Man, it really wants me to eat something. Let's try it. I think I can. Can I use the orb for a sun spell? Right? Maybe. You try to buy it, but oh man. Pull out your tinderbox. You could use it to make a spark if you had anything to burn, but without something to burn, you cannot keep the flame going. You make your way to the back of the cave, which grows gloomier with every step. Then suddenly, your foot kicks something soft. You feel carefully downward, and your hand encounters something gentle. Fur. A moment later, something looms forward, catching you with a heavy blow across the chest. You hit the floor, gasping. The creature in the cave roars at you, claws outstretched. You have mere moments to react. Let's try a spell. Can I do a cool spell? Cool spell, cool spell. I was hoping I could do like a jig or something. Do a raz. Do it. Do I still have a gold back mirror? I guess let's check and see. Do I still have a gold back mirror? Nope, I lost it. Goblin's teeth, green-haired wig, or crystal, holy water, jewel-studded medallion, and stone dust. So I really, man, I have a lot of the same type of items, unfortunately. I don't really have a lot of options for spells that I can remember. Of course, not having my spell book really hurts me there, but so it goes. So I can't do a kin, because I need a mirror for that. I was so excited to get that mirror too, and I don't think I ever actually used it. Do a Razg, do a Dud, do a Zap, but I don't really want to just kill him if I don't have the... What is Dud? Dud is the gold spell, right? I don't really see how that's gonna help. What does Kid do? Let's try Kid. The spell you are casting fails. Something which you have not got is needed for the spell. The creature stamps its feet and bellows. Okay, well let's try that again. Don't want to do a Raz. I guess I could do a Zen and float, but I don't really see how that'll help me here either. I don't really have a lot of options here, do I? I guess I'll just go with a Raz. Using a little of your beadwax, you coat the edge of your assassin sword and then cast your spell. The blade flashes and glows, and the metal binds itself tighter into a razor blade edge. I will say he's not really doing much here, is he? You spend a valuable second looking at the creature. Its black and white fur and long bushy tail are unmistakable. This is a skunk bear, though far larger in size than those that inhabit the Shamoitani Hills. Quickly, you flip open your pack to find something to use. You slip in your nose plug quickly. If this is a skunk bear, they will prove an invaluable defense. You flip shut the pack once more. You draw your sword and engage the fearsome creature. Okay, well I don't have a lot of stamina to work with, so let's wow, that assassin sword is really beefy. Let's see. Let's do aha! Start this off right. The skunk bear has two main weapons, its long claws and its terrible smell. The nose plugs will help you protect you at least. Killing it quickly will be your best chance of avoiding losing your last meal. You swing your sword in a mighty arc. The skunk bear stops a short way away from you and swipes its enormous paws. You chop it away, drawing thick blood. It stomps and staggers. It can barely stand. It drops to all fours and roars. Let's try another big one. Bow! Alright, I'm doing pretty good. Rushing forward and across the dirt, you charge at the skunk bear, catching it with a light blow. The skunk bear emits a new terrible odor. The smell of fear, perhaps? It beats the air with its heavy tail. Do a small one. Oh, nope, that's bad. Ouch! Skunk bear charges and squeals, and you are spared by your reflexes. You defend yourself as best you can. Blood trickles into your boots. It wraps its tail around its furry body. Get out of here with that nonsense. You risk an attack. Standing firm, you swing a mighty blow at the skunk bear. Then your sword finds a soft place on the skunk bear's body. The beast roars and topples over, quite dead. 2 stamina lost. Skilled swordplay. Remove the nose plugs gratefully. You cling and sheathe your blade. You make a quick search at the back of the cave, but there are no more surprises to be found. Alright, leave the cave. You head back out into the light. Yeah, not really too much I can do, I guess. You turn to the path. The gleam on your sword edge fades. Then heat beats down from an empty sky. Time to move on. Is it going to be night soon? No, I guess I can travel on a little bit more. You leave the cave behind. The steps are becoming wider as the path turns to follow the edge of a deep chasm. A little further on, a rock ledge juts out into the chasm. 2 posts stand on either side, with a narrow and rather ancient wooden bridge lashed to them. The bridge must be 100 years old at least. It is set onto timber supports driven deep into fixtures out of sight below the ledge. Seems like it might still be solid. You lift your eyes to look across the chasm to the other side, where more mountains rise up. A cleft line in their peak traces a narrow road, and atop one summit is what looks like a large bird's nest. You glance down at the path ahead and see a line of footprints similar to those you saw outside the cave. They lead away past the bridge. Time to continue. If the bridge is sound, it would get you quickly closer to the citadel. I don't really know if I want to risk that bridge, though. Let's see. And there's a village up over that way. Man, this is very unforgiving land here. Just mountains all the way down. Hope I'm not giving anybody, like, dizziness by doing that. Alright, well, let's give it a shot. I have Zen if worse comes to worse. You step onto the foot of the narrow wooden bridge. It is no mean span. The chasm is twice as wide as the Jibaji Ridger of Kare, at least. But the boards look intact enough. You tug the guy ropes firmly. There is plenty of slack due to the way the bridge hangs, but they are not loose. They must be tied well enough on the far side. Next, you wallop one of the boards with your foot, and it booms solidly. It seems as reliable as the ropes, but you cannot know if all the other boards are as well preserved. You have tested the bridge as well as you can. Although that option there to pray reminds me I should probably go ahead and pray and get some health back. Ah, delicious, delicious health. Alright, let's give it a shot. Your knuckles are white as you grip the ropes and pace out onto the bridge. As the ropes tighten, the boards move downwards under every step. It takes all your courage to take each step forward. Let's just keep moving. Standing still here is the worst option. If you're going to try to cross, you must be bold. You keep going, pacing board by board across the bridge. Then, without warning, one of the braided strands of the left-hand rope frays and snaps. The boards rock and sway violently, but the other ropes are holding for the moment. Yeah, let's just see if I can do a Zen. Just to be safe. Oh no. No, it's not letting me Zen. It's not letting me Zen at all, is it? Oh no. Oh, this is bad. Let's see. Hot is just gonna probably burn the bridge all up. Nap, that's not gonna help. Ooh, can I do a fall? You cast a spell, lightening your body weight to a mere fraction of normal. There's clearly nothing for it but to run, or to pull your floating body along by the ropes. You rush forward, hoping your reduced weight will prevent the bridge from breaking further, but instead it simply means you lose contact with the bridge when the left-hand rope finally gives way. Snatching wildly, you grab the other rope and catch yourself just as the bridge breaks in the middle. You swing hard into the chasm wall, and your weight returning just in time for the impact. From here, it is an easy climb up the ladder formed by the boards of the bridge. Finally, you pull yourself up onto the edge of the cliff. For better or worse, you have crossed the ravine. Yeah, I did it. Actually, did a thing competently. That's a first for me. You are back on a firm rock path once more. The broken bridge dangles into space just a stride away, and its shattered boards litter the ravine floor. You breathe a sigh of relief. You must keep going. Let's see. I could go west or east. West or east. West or east. Let's try east. I'm just kind of feeling my way out here. I have no idea what any of these options actually do. You leave the bridge behind and make your way around the edge of the chasm. The sun begins to dip, heading towards the horizon. The path splits here, snaking around the edge of a mountain while a branch works its way downwards. The ruins of a stone tower lie some way down the path. The tower seems to have fallen into disrepair, but its profile is familiar enough. It is the same as the towers that guarded the backlands. There are 3 ways to go from here. Yeah, let's check out the tower. You pick your way down the screed slope one step at a time. You pause by the ruined tower to catch your breath. As you move towards the tower entrance, a shadow falls across the doorway. The shape is stooped and hideous. It would seem this place is home to a troll. It has not yet noticed you. You watch the creature as it paces around inside the ruined tower. It appears to be ordering things, moving stone blocks from one point to another. You march over, and the troll's eyes snap up to meet yours. Then he lumbers out into daylight. He stands at least a head taller than you, and his shoulders fill the exit. The troll roars. It bangs its massive sword against a shield large enough to squash you with. He is a ferocious enemy of incredible strength. Isn't east going backwards? Not really. At this point, I think I'm just trying to work my way through the mountains any way I can. Let's see. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I don't want to zap. Don't want to zap. What is FOF? I can't remember what FOF is. Sap. Dim. Yeah, let's do a pop. That's one I don't use enough. Looking to the stars, you craft the magic over one of your pebbles. The pebble explodes on the troll's nose. He stumbles back, allowing you to rush in. Aha! Oh no, that's bad. That's bad. Shit. That's like the worst possible thing that could have happened. The troll stamps forward. Finding you has sent him into a rage. He starts to scream wildly as he hurtles forward. You raise your own sword, ready to meet him with a brutal attack, but there's real strength behind his old arms. His shield comes up. He stops to brush his hair away from his eyes, and you seize the moment to strike. Racing down, you toss a handful of dirt into his eyes and cut him as he staggers. He reacts quickly, ducking. You knock chips from his shield. The troll narrows his eyes. Okay, that wasn't good, but alright. You keep up the pressure. You cut him as he tries to turn. He grunts as he brings up his sword. The troll catches the blow on his shield. He shifts the grip on his sword. Alright, yeah, how do you like them apples? You batter at his blade and attack with precision and strength. His own half-hearted blow is knocked away. The troll is stumbling, his wiry old muscles leaking green blood. The troll stamps back. Haha! You are easily the better swordsman. You cut him as he stumbles over his feet. He thinks better of his own attack and defends instead. The troll's shield twitches. Okay, this is doing pretty good. The fight must be yours. You cut him as he staggers. He reacts quickly, ducking. The troll shifts his clutch on his mean sword. All the way, go for broke! You keep up the pressure and rear back and bring your sword down on his head. You catch him beneath his own raised blade. The troll stamps at the ground and curses in an unknown tongue. The troll begins wailing and shouting. Oh no, that's bad. Ow, I'm not doing well this fight. But he catches you off guard. You try a fast attack, keeping yourself as much covered as you can while cutting forwards, but the troll roars like a lion in reply and swings for your neck. You find yourself weak and staggering. He steps quickly away. You spy an opening and go on the attack. You cut him as he tries to turn. He tries to cut you, but you have all the momentum of the fight. You catch the troll a slight nick. Blood trickles across the surface of his armor. He shifts his hold on his sword. Gotcha. Take that, jerk. Oh, that was bad, though. You batter at his blade. Turning your sword, you punch with the hilt, and as he reels, you lash out with your blade. You swing, spinning around on the spot, and the last cut slices through the troll's neck. 6 stamina lost. Rough going. You get to your feet and gather your wits. The troll is quite dead. You quickly search the troll's body, finding nothing but a charm around its neck, a goblin's tooth strung onto a string. You tug the tooth away, snapping the string. The path continues in both directions, and the tower is open to you. Well, I didn't do all that just to not check the tower. You step between the fallen blocks of the ruined tower. It stinks. You pause and look around the broken, shattered room. This was a fine building, once. There are hints of carvings and decorations on the stonework, even though all of it is now tumbled away, and the tower is open to the elements. Niches set into the walls once held idols and statues, and a curving spiral staircase once climbed upwards, but is now broken halfway. You search around the ruins and come across something black under a stone. It is a folded cloth. You pull it free. The cloth is thick and heavy, and has been neatly folded into a square. There is something bulky inside, which you can feel through the cloth, but whatever it is, it's not heavy. You unwrap the cloth. In the center is a short length of knotted rope. You look at the knotted rope, but its purpose is unclear. It is too short to climb and too thick to tie anything. Why did anyone wrap it up and leave it here? You turn your attention to the cloth. It has 2 loose sleeves and a heavy hood. After a moment, you realize what it is. It is the habit of a monk, and the knotted rope is a belt. It seems in one piece and free of moth holes. You could try it on. You gather up the monk's concealing habit and quickly pull it on. Oh, I got a cool new icon. You will now pass as a monk. That's good because everybody hates me here, so having that disguise might help me out pretty nicely. Hopefully it's worth the 6 stamina. You wind your way up the stairs to about halfway up the tower's height. The stairs end a few paces further on. They have been sheared off by the same force that removed the entire roof of the tower. You step carefully to the broken edge of the stairs. 2 more steps, taking each one at a time in case the stone should give way under your weight. After 3 stops, the broken edge of the stairs is now 1 step away. You take another step, and then another, still climbing. Looking back, the stairs behind you seem quite intact. Looking in front, they are once again only a couple before they fall to ruin. And yet, with every step you make, it seems more steps appear. You pace, step by step, up the tower, spiraling round and around until finally you reach a trapdoor in the non-existent roof. Yep, well, more time shenanigans, I guess. You push the trapdoor open and step out onto the roof of the tower. The wind whistles past your head, chilling your ears. You are standing high above the pass atop a tower that was not here when you passed through the path below. A brass beacon of the kind you have seen before stands here. There is a faint shimmer of magic here in the air. Please heal me, please. First glance, the beacon seems quite intact, but there is no light shining from it now. You step away from the trapdoor and walk out across the roof. You head over to the edge of the tower, just by the end of the large brass lantern. Leaning out over the edge, you have a surprise. The tower below is still not there. Looking down, you see nothing but ruin and rubble, and yet, under your feet, the planks are quite sound and solid. You look out across the land towards a deep crater in the earth that is split like a bleeding sore by a black, hissing vent in the ground. No doubt this hellhole quarry used to build the citadel that lies beyond. Mompeg itself dominates the skyline, enough to chill the hardest of hearts. At its top is a tower with a single high window, the Archmage's turret room. Looking back at the lantern, you are surprised to see that there is indeed a very faint light spilling from the end, and it seems its beam is active, but it has been focused into an extremely narrow beam that reaches across empty space towards something in the distance. You follow the beam with your eyes, and of course you see immediately where it points, the central tower of Mompang. You step back from the edge of the tower. You hear a quiet cough from somewhere behind you. "Who's there?" you call, but there is no reply. You move over to the eye of the beacon. A shimmering blue crystal is set at the end of it. Oh, thank goodness. You reach in to touch the crystal and you're rewarded by a sense of healing wellness that floods your vein. The beacon seems unchanged as you step back. You try to turn the heavy beacon, but unlike the towers in the Blocklands, this one appears firmly fixed, its eye pointing out towards Mompang and its central tower. You look for some way to deactivate the beacon. Who knows what damage it might do to the Archmage's plans. But you find nothing, and the lantern is too large to destroy. You step away from the beacon. Just then, a robed figure steps out from a shadowy spot behind the lantern. "I'm a robed figure too. Let's be robe buddies." You approach the figure boldly. "Greetings," it declares, "and what are you doing here?" "Greetings," the figure nods. "You seem remarkably intact," it observes. "Intact? Indeed. It is most curious, since the lower floors of this tower are home to more than one mine snake, and I would not expect any traveler to simply walk in." "I'm not afraid of mine snakes. That is simply not possible," the creature replies quite calmly. "It's like saying that rain does not make you wet." "Are you not afraid of them yourself?" "I am terribly afraid of them, obviously." The creature shrugs its sharp chin. "All in all, this situation is most unexpected. Let me ask you a few questions." "Indeed," the creature returns in some surprise. "I've seen beacons like this before," you tell the creature. "This is the last of the great beacons built across the Bachlands," the creature guarding the tower declares. "They are lenses, and like all lenses, they collect, focus, and deliver. Only, they do not focus and deliver light." There's something strange about the creature's speech, as though this conversation was happening out of its proper order. "They focus time." "Indeed, that is correct." "You are funneling time to Mompang," you reply. "For what purpose?" "For my master, the Archmage." He lifts a hand to his forehead reverentially. "He desires immortality. It cannot be achieved, but extreme longevity is a close second." "Why do you serve him?" "It is right that I should serve someone," the watching creature replies, "as you do." "When I entered this tower it was ruined," you explain. The creature cocks its hooded head and considers that with some interest. "Remarkable," it breathes. "I sense the truth in your words, though I cannot understand them. Perhaps I should summon a snake up here to test your assertions." The creature nods to you. "I must resume my calculations," he declares. You nod in return. "If you survived your journey up to my tower, no doubt you will survive the journey down." You go back to the beacon. The creature watches you with some suspicion. You peer along the length of the light beam and it heads towards Mompang in the central tower. Is this beacon the source of the Archmage's very vitality? Once again, you step away from the beacon. "Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this dude. He seems scary. He also seems pretty cool, so whatever." Turn to the trapdoor and make your way back down the stairs, which disappear behind you as you go. You are back in the ruined tower. The wind howls through the broken structure above. You step away from the ruin once more. You are back outside the tower. You can smell the troll's corpse even from this distance. The path continues in both directions. Alright, well, let's head up to this quarry. You climb up onto the cliff path. The sun has almost set, and the sky is a deep pink. It will be night soon. The path splits here, snaking around the edge of a mountain while a branch works its way downwards towards the stone tower. Which way now? Well, if it's gonna be night, maybe I should sleep in the tower? Yeah, let's do that. Let's see if I can sleep in the tower. Wait, no? Okay. Guess that's not happening. Alright, that's fine. The trail winds through the mountain. You follow it until a sight ahead makes you stop. High up the rocky cliffs perches a strange structure made of twigs, branches, and moss. Looks like a huge bird's nest perched on a wide stone ledge. If you were to climb the rock face up to it, you could easily fit inside. Climb up, careful to hold on to your belongings as you scale the rock face. You scramble up the rocks and hoist yourself onto the ledge just outside the enormous nest. The nest is an intricate construction of twigs and branches, built into a natural cleft in the peak. The wind whips past a short distance away. Everything it can grasp has already been taken. On one side is a dark hole in the straw that might be large enough for you to crawl through. You wait, listening for any movement, but hear nothing. It seems the nest is empty. You crawl through the hole, into the heart of the nest. Maybe I can sleep here if there's no bird. No evil birds? Inside of the nest is a curious bell-shaped chamber open to the sky. The walls are woven straw, matted with feathers and scraps of fur. You look up through the narrow opening into the sky above, but see nothing. If the nest occupant is going to return, they have not returned yet. You look around the chamber with some interest. It is an incredible piece of engineering for a bird, even a large one. What could have made this thing? You poke around the nest, eventually coming across a cloth skullcap packed roughly into one of the walls. But as you weigh your find in your hands, you hear a shriek behind you. You swing round just in time for two pairs of talons to scrape down to your chest. The nest occupant has returned, but this is no bird, it's a birdman. The birdman's wings are outstretched, clawed hands already up and ready to tear at your body. The vicious challenge trip with your blood. You have only moments to react. Let's see, what can I do? That's gonna probably murder me. Don't really have a lot of options here. I don't want a hot because that's just gonna burn everything right the hell up. But I don't really know if I have any other really good options here. And I want to save some of my more better items for, my more better items. Save my more powerful magic items for later. What does Gob do? Oh, Gob makes goblins. Yeah, I haven't done that before. Let's try that. I got plenty of them man teeth. Pull a goblin from your pack and throw it to the ground. Casting your spell across it, the tooth erupts into a column of smoke. And only a moment later, a goblin warrior is standing in front of you. You order the goblin to distract the birdman, racing around it and jabbing with his short, stubby sword. Use the cover of the scuffle to slip out of the inner nest once more. You emerge into fresh air, the biting whip of wind on the edge of the cliff. Bend down and spark a flame. A moment later, the flame has jumped to the dry straw of the nest. The delicate twigs begin to glow and curl. Oh, hey. Calmly and somewhat callously, you approach the edge of the flames. You unwrap the portions of your raw fish you have been carrying and roast them in the fire. The smell makes your empty belly groan and grumble. You tear into a fish. It is rich and delicious and highly nourishing. You wait, cruelly admiring your handiwork as the nest roars into a pyre. After a moment, it bursts open and the birdman rushes out. The birdman is aflame and crying in pain. You stand neatly to one side. He races. Oh, I guess that was a bad action because I lost my gorilla. He races over the edge of the cliff, beating his wing desperately. Smoke plumes as he plunges out of sight. The nest collapses and continues to smolder. If there is anything of interest in there, it will soon be ash. You stamp at the flames, but they have spread too far and too fast to put out. There is nothing else to do but risk the climb down to the path. It cannot be more dangerous than staying here. Well, maybe didn't handle that as well as I could have. You clamber slowly and careful back down to the path. Smoke plumes from the nest above, trailing into the sky. You can only hope no one in Mompang is watching. At the foot of the cliff lies the broken body of a birdman, charred and scored. You pause for a moment, but the birdman is clearly quite dead. Well, yeah, I probably could have handled that better. You rife his body quickly, working lightly to avoid burning your fingertips on his still cooking flesh. You find nothing. Birdmen do not carry weapons, as their talons suffice. But you do find a curious blackened mark just under one wing. You push aside blackened feathers and examine the mark more closely. It is some kind of scar, rough cut as though made with a rough knife. It depicts two interlocked S's. The scars are bleached and distorted. They must have been made when the creature was still young. Let's see. What can I do? I don't think I can heal him. I don't have a potion. Res. Zap. Yeah, I can just blast him more, I guess. Zap. Yeah, what the hell? I kind of feel bad about killing this person. You take the vial of holy water from your pack and cast your spell. The water begins to shimmer and shine with an inner light. You pour the shimmering water across the ruined body of the birdman, and for a moment nothing happens. Then, with a shrieking gasp, the creature sits up and screams with pain, and turns to you with horrified, manic eyes. You raise your hand. Be at peace, you insist. Be calm, if you can. But all is lost, the birdman spits. He is coming, and I cannot fly. Who is coming? The hope of the land is coming, but without our help he will surely die. What are you talking about? The followers of Shin are waiting, the creature replies, throat rattling. He beckons with a claw for you to lean closer. You lean in close to hear the bird's last breathy words. They are hidden. They work in shadows. They look the same, but they are not the same. They are born different. He coughs, violently spitting tiny feathers from his throat. Know this, he adds in clear plain. You will know them by their mothers. Oh, shit. Their mothers? But you get nothing more. The spell fades and the glass-black bird eyes fall dark once more, the body falling limp. You leave the body for the carrion eaters. This path is turned roughly northwards here as it cuts through a pass between peaks on either side. Well, that was, yep. I'm feeling awfully heroic right now. Let's see. Shin. Group of mermen, they call themselves something of Schvin until you were told to ask after their mothers. The mites for it's action magic. These silver weapons can harm the undead. Well, fuck. I guess he could have been a potential ally if I hadn't, like, screwed that all up. You head down a slight incline. Montpang looms into view once more. It is as though these mountain passes had been carved to ensure no one approaching could forget the citadel's looming presence. Looking at the path ahead, you see the ground appear to buckle where a sharp rock rim rises out on the ground. Before you lies a deep crater, and so an entire mountain peak had been scooped away. You'll have to find a way across. The moon sets. More stars appear. Jeez. I wish I could sleep, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be given that opportunity. You scramble awkwardly up the rim of the crater, hampered by the hem of your robe. Then you skid and slide several feet down the rough slope, finally landing on what appears to be a path. You are uninjured, but there's no way back up. Path leads down into the crater here. Another trail leads north to south around the rim. The path down into the crater is wider and more beaten down than you might have expected. This is not the main road to Mampang, but this trail must still see some use. You would do well to find somewhere safe to rest. Whoops, I didn't actually want to do that. I wanted to go into the crater. Yeah, I'm gonna, if you guys don't mind, I think it's okay to rewind if I make an accidental choice. I wanted to go into the crater, but I clicked the wrong thing. So, let's do that. Whoop, pretend that never happened. Check myself over. Okay, let's check the crater. The stars turn in the sky overhead. You follow the trail until it becomes lost in the thick shrubs. In the dark, you can no longer see the path. You try to lie down and curl up to sleep, but you are too exposed. Anything flying overhead would see you in moments once the sun rises. Better to find a place to sleep in the scrub. You get back to your feet. You fight through scrub that fills the crater basin. In the darkness, you can see little beyond your feet, but there's plenty of cover you could sleep under. Laying your pack down, you try to settle under your habit despite the cold. At least you have eaten once already today, so you do not need to eat again to avoid hunger, though more food will make you stronger. You find yourself beginning to scratch. You seem to have got fleas, probably from the monk's habit. You close your eyes and let tiredness overtake you. You wake in the night to see a black shadow slipping into the gloom beside you. You open your arms to gather Starlight, and the voice laughs quietly. Two hands clasp yours and separate them. No need for that, Annalander. The shape slips down onto the ground beside you. You make a space for him close by your side. It is a cold night here in the shadow of evil, the voice continues. Flanker? I near the end of my journey, as you near the end of yours, Flanker replies. But Annalander, I fear the outcome. What do you fear? We have traveled a long road together. Soon we must separate. His voice is muted in the dark. I am not afraid. I cannot know fear, Flanker replies. I am a dead man still alive. An assassin is not permitted to experience mercy, and yet here I am. You are a man, not an assassin. Flanker laughs softly. What is done cannot be undone, he replies. A carved statue cannot be uncarved, only broken. He touches your shoulder briefly. Rest now. And then so the night passes, but you know that in the morning he will be gone. In the scrub, during the past day you gained 1 provision, explored the caves of High Zaman, descended to the peaks of Zanzunus, descended into the Agrabah crater, disguised yourself as monk, and found 1 new clue. The Archmaid remains unaware of you. Oh hey, that's a plus. Guess all that snake killing work really made a difference. You pick yourself to your feet and look around at the daylight. A short distance ahead you spy a large black bundle hanging from a tree. The bundle is long, at least 6 feet tall, and jet black. It sways slightly as it dangles from the branch. As you get closer, you notice a chain running from the bundle to a stake in the ground. You also notice the bundle is somewhat hairy. Looking closer, you spot a large pink mouth with a giant long snout. It is a giant bat, much larger than those in the Shamutani Hills. Thankfully, it is still asleep, hanging upside down with its wings folded around. The creature snores deeply. You follow the chain with your eyes, from the ground to the bat's leg. It has enough length to let the bat fly to the tree, but not much further. Who would drop a giant bat in the middle of a crater? You hang back. The creature is stirring a little in sleep, but nothing more. You crouch low and wait a little longer. The bat stirs, then its wide black wings stretch open as it wakes. It drops to the ground, then flaps lazily up into midair, as though looking for something. You stop, frozen to the spot, hand on the hilt of your assassin's sword. The bat head swivel this way and that, and its beady eyes come to rest on yours. Man, I feel like my options for spells have been much limited. Much limited. I could do another pop. I can't do a zap, a zen, a zip. I don't even remember what zip does. Guess let's do pop. That's been working pretty well for me so far. You bind the starlight its shape around you over one of your pebbles. The superheated pebble lands right on the bat's nose. It shrieks in pain, distracted and hurt, but now it is coming for you. You rush into attack while the creature skips into the air. Whoop. Oh, dang, well that was a huge waste. The bat's great wings buffet at your face, making it hard to see. You swing out wildly, hoping to chop it from the sky as the bat flutters back out of reach. You barely harm the giant bat. All or nothing! Ah! Another chance follows. You cleave the air with your sword, overpowering the bat's wings and claws. You cut the monster deep in its belly. Oh, no, that's not good. Then the creature is after your blood. You try a quick stab, but the bat dodges and you miss. The giant bat knocks you backwards against one of the bushes. You stumble, head spinning. It flaps its wing threateningly, clearly trying to frighten you. Haha, take that, jerk. You wait for the creature's wide wings to open and then you strike. You cut it sideways, blow. The giant bat tries to cover itself, but it is too slow. The giant bat is flying erratically now. It drops into the bushes, wings folded. Get out of here. Oh wait, that was dumb. The creature's now afraid. You bring your blade in heavily, but the giant bat closes its tough wings. It all but escapes your blow. Ah, take that, jerk. Another chance follows. You thrust forward. The winged creature falls to the ground and the light in its eyes goes dark. 2 stamina lost. Competent combat. Your journey into Montpang remains a secret. The trail runs in both directions through the crater. Let's do the path. There's an unshakable gloom about this place. A few birds are singing thin and miserable songs. A thin plume of smoke rises to the east. From what you can make out, the smoke seems to be rising steadily, but thinly. It's more like mist than smoke from a bonfire. You skip onwards through the crater. Check out the low building. You pass by a low stone building in the waste. The air moves a little around you, still icy but fresh. The wind washes through the upper story, and gripweed and yellow bright spark peer out from the shattered windows. The building was perhaps once an inn, perhaps a trading post, perhaps a place for guides to welcome newcomers to the great fortress beyond. Now it has crumbled to half its state. You pluck a sprig of bright spark. It has bright yellow flowers, but is completely useless as most wild plants are, so you toss it aside to wither. You put a hand onto the frame as you step in through the listing doorways. You enter the crumbling building. It is missing its roof, so you are exposed to the sky. The doorway beckons, but you are not ready to move on yet. The open sky framed by the edges of the building quiets your thoughts. You close your eyes and raise a prayer to the ape. You feel a great sense of calm overcome you. You are close to Montpang, but can still know a moment of peace. Then you get to your feet and, with great care, you search the rest of the room, but find nothing of interest. The building is quite empty, but carved on one wall is what appears to be a scratched message. You read over the message. Third spe that the throbbing doors is L of Invis. Curious. Then there is nothing more here to find. You slip outside of the aged building and back into the light. You step back onto the trail and look around once more. Paths lead in several directions. That they do. That they do. Spell that the throbbing doors is. Interesting. Let's check out the smoke. The zip spell helps me get dressed. Haha, it buttons my jeans for long. You break from the trail and head across the loose dirt towards the rising smoke. A few clouds move across the heavens. The air begins to get warm. Sweat trickles down your back as you get closer to what appears to be a crack deep in the earth. You make your way carefully to the fissure's edge. It is almost pleasantly warm here, with soft moss underneath your feet. Superheated steam bursts up every few minutes with a hiss. There's something else on the air too. The sounds of wind surely, not voices. Straining to listen, you make out distinct voices coming from deep inside the vent. It is like standing on a balcony above a room full of whispering people, all crowding for attention at the edge of your hearing. How can anyone survive down there? The vent is a jagged crack in the earth. The black stone is deeply cut. Strange shapes flicker within the rising jets of steam, seemingly murmuring. The voices mutter and curse. Who's there? You call out. The voices become louder in response, crowding over each other. But they are speaking a language you do not recognize. There are no creatures near the vent, despite the warmth it provides. Let's see, can I do a cool spell? Cool, fun, awesome spell? I haven't done one of those in a while. No? Sus. Yeah. Doc. Yeah, I'm not really feeling any of these. If I could do like a tell or something on those lines, I'd be more. Air cools as you move away from the vent. Guess let's just move on. You follow the length of the cracked fissure until you find yourself on the trail at the base of the curving crater rim. There's no way across the fissure, but the path leads in either direction past it. You make your way up the curved, dusty rim of the crater. An open pass leads forwards and up. The skyline is suddenly dominated by the looming specter of Montpang. As the morning moves on, the wind begins to rise. Spellbound by its presence, your eyes follow the lines of the citadel walls. Gnarled spires twist upwards towards the sky as if in agonized prayer to the heavens. Sharp angles and jagged points protrude everywhere. Demonic gargoyles line the outside walls. You try to look away, but you cannot, as though the towers have gripped your eyes. The sight would be enough to break the courage of any brave shoulder, and its effect on you is much the same. You feel a knot of fear bury itself in your stomach, where you cannot shake it. Despite shivering at the sight of the citadel, you feel yourself compelled to step forwards. Indeed I do. You clamber up the far slope of the crater until you're on the main road once more. As the sun climbs the sky, the winds begin to rise. There are most likely guards stationed with a view over the pass. This is the only route into the citadel and is certain to be guarded. Then suddenly, you feel a wave of nausea. The ground begins to shift. The sun slides sideways. Oh shit. You open your arms to cast a spell when you fall. The world rushes past you further than it should. You hear a woman's voice singing gently above the sound of lapping waves. What magic is this? What? Waves lull and wash towards the shore. You lie on a bed of stones, looking up at the bright sunlight. Where am I? This is not High Salmon. A feeling of dread creeps over you. What kind of trap is this? How far have you traveled? You pick yourself to your feet, woozy as though you had been asleep for a long time. Greetings, murmurs a voice, warm and welcoming. We have traveled a long way together, you and I. You turn this way and that, looking for the speaker, but seeing nothing but the water washing in spray. Who are you? You call. I have many names, she replies, but none truly describe who I am. The sea washes at your boots as though inviting you to step forwards. I must go back. You shall, the voice assures you. You shall. Gentle wind tugs at your coat. You are standing on the shores of the Kakabad Sea, barely a half-day's walk from Analand. Oh, yep. This is the first chapter, which is not where I want to be. Although, I don't remember this ocean. Did I never go to this ocean? Weird. Yeah, I think it started like... I think this was the bottom originally. I don't think I had the ocean. Well, that's fun. You crunch towards the shore. In the glinting water, a boat slowly rocks to and fro, and in the boat sits a woman with a loom. What should I call you? Asks. I have many names, she repeats, but one will do. So call me Libra. I am the goddess of justice. We have walked together for a long time, you and I. You have kept your presence hidden, you reply. The woman is clearly a goddess. She nods. There are many times the warp serves only to support the weft, she answers. Tell me what you want with me, you reply. I bring you here to deliver a warning. Our long road together has almost reached its end. Her voice was filled with sadness. I have kept you safe many times, saved you, but I can do no more. I know you do not understand, she continues, but you will, soon enough. When you enter Mompang, you will understand. The walls around that citadel are more than those of a physical stone. It is a cursed place, guarded by sigils and long knives. I'm not afraid. Foolish child, she responds. You do not understand what I am telling you. Annalander, for as long as you have walked, I have walked beside you. I have granted you waking dreams, dreams of your future, dreams from which you wake to walk a different way. Wait, shit. So is she telling me she's not gonna... Basically, she's the reason why I respawn after death, and I'm not gonna be able to respawn after death anymore? Listen intently puzzles. Waking dreams, the goddess continued, the kind that seem real, until they disappear as though they have never been. She shoots the shuttle across her loom once more. But no more. Once inside the walls of Mompang, your future will become precious once again. The word strikes a nail of fear in your heart. My future is my own. Yes, the woman replies. A large wave strikes the shore, and as it drains, the boat tilts and begins to drift away. The woman makes no move to stop it, merely continuing to weave. Wait, you call. How can I leave this place? But your words are lost on the water. She is gone. The thought of the long journey back to Mompang begins to sink into your mind. You wade out into the shallows. Perhaps there is a way to walk around the coast, but it seems hopeless. The sea stretches away southward, endless. Drawn by some unknown voice, you step further and further out. The wind is picking up. The waves are growing. Water laps around your waist. As the waters close over your head, the stars reach down to catch you. Well, that was fun. So, geez. So if I die here, do I not respawn? If so, this might make for a very long episode. Because at this point, I feel like I have to finish it, right? I've come too far to not finish it. So, if I just die and have to restart, oh boy, this is gonna be this is gonna be something. You are back on the edge of the pass. Was that real? There's still a taste of salt in your mouth, but nothing more. You shake the vision away and look around yourself once more. Looking at the pass ahead, it would be best to try and cross under cover of darkness. You settle down to wait. The sun disappears behind the tall mountains and a few stars appear between the peaks. You get to your feet once more. Night has settled around you. You creep forwards into the narrow rock pass. This is the only corridor to Mompang. There is no other way. It's the final countdown. Boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo boo. Okay, I guess that's enough of that. The path lies open. There are no obvious traps and no ways around. The only way is forward. You move cautiously along the shadowy path. It is barely wide enough for two horses to ride abreast, but the walls on either side loom high and threatening. Starlight pulls around you. There's magic here. Looking upwards, you see the cliff edges look smoother somehow, as though loose rocks have been moved away from the cliff edge. Looking ahead, you can see little. Oh, ha ha ha, for long. If this video gets flagged for me singing, then that would be pretty ridiculous. I mean, dang it, it's performance. People do cover songs all the time on YouTube. I can make mouth sounds. Uh, Also, considering it's a song from like what, the 70s, pretty sure it's gonna be okay. Hopefully. Please don't sue me, Jefferson Starship. I'm sorry. Jefferson Starship even still alive? Are you guys still out there, Jefferson Starship? Does Jefferson Starship watch my show? 'Cause that'd be pretty radical. Let's try a tell. Maybe I can like read the guards' minds. You weave the enchantment, pulling on the cloth skull cap as you do so. The thoughts drift towards you from somewhere close at hand. Such a dull assignment, someone rough and violent thinks, staring down this little path. Haven't shot my bow for weeks. Guards, they are above you, staring down into the pass at the top of pass on the cliff tops. A small fire crackles behind them, but the light does not reach the bottom of the pass. You crouch in the heavy nighttime shadows and sneak along. A lone guard stands above, but does not see you. The black of your robe keeps you invisible against the dirt. You leave the guards behind as you reach the end of the pass. Haha, suckers. You follow the path between sharp peaks. Moonlight covers everything. And then the pass opens and provides you with your first clear view of the Citadel's gate. After 38 days of walking and hardship, you have arrived. Really, 30 of those days spent in in Kakabad? Wow. Mampang. The dread citadel seems to be at peace. There are no patrols of Birdman, no marching guards on the walls. They are not expecting your arrival in the least. Seems you have covered your approach flawlessly. Stars turn in the empty air above you. You take a moment to drink in the sight. Mompang's walls are towering, and they march away on either side. Guards' turrets jutting against the pitch-black sky. The fortress is the size of a small city. Somewhere inside is the crown of kings. The gates are sealed for the night, but perhaps you can find a way to sneak inside. The moon moves slowly across the dark sky. The main gate of Mompang looms up in darkness as you approach. But looking over the gate, it seems hopeless. The stones are too smooth to climb, the doors too heavy to move. I feel like if I just bust down the gate, uh, with like a dop spell, even if a dop spell somehow works, I feel like that would just be basically being like, "Hey guys, I'm here. Come kill me." Whoa. Let's see. I have to see what you can do. Um, let's see. Well, I don't know where the hell that goes. But it looks like there's a little door here, so let's try that. See if I can sneak in this little door on this side. You follow the path past the main gate and around the curving stone wall of the fortress. The path opens out here onto a wide plateau directly beneath a guard turret. Under cover of darkness, you should be able to make your way without being noticed. Along the path. You follow the path further along the curve of the mountainside. Far below, a river rushes at the foot of the deep chasm that opens 2 steps to your left. The light is drawing on. The wall of the fortress is built from blocks of stone of a size you haven't seen since the ruined steps down into the Bachlands. They must have been carried and laid with enchantments. No creature could have assembled them on the edge of this precipice, with such narrow space to work. At the end of this path, a side gate is set into the wall. The side gate is no main entrance, but is still impressively large. You turn your attention back from the gate and scan over the wall for handholds, but with each block so large there are not enough crevices to climb, and the wall is high as well, tall enough to keep out the prying eyes of a giant. You look down into the chasm. Stone black water rushes far beneath, tearing through the underground chasms that skewer the mountain's roots like rot in an old man's gums. The path follows the chasm's edge. You move towards the door. The side gate is much smaller than the main gate and is probably used for patrols. It is the middle of the night. You hide behind a nearby bush about 10 feet away from the door. Nothing happens. You continue to crouch behind the bush. You feel quite safe, but you are not making any progress. You toss a nearby rock at the door from inside the bush. A moment later, the door opens and a guard pokes his head out. You look over the guard, trying to assess the threat he poses. He is a ragged-looking black elf dressed in patchwork armor. The guard looks around, then steps all the way outside, muttering to himself. You toss a pebble to the guard's left, and it strikes the wall just out of sight. The guard shouts, and a second guard emerges. The pair walk around the corner to investigate the noise. Creeping across the bare ground, you slip behind the two guards and into the doorway. You breathe a sigh of relief, only to notice the third guard in front of you, wide-eyed with surprise. You'll have to finish him quickly before the other two return. I can do that. Get out of here. Oh man, this poor dude, he does not know what's about to hit him. Emitting a chuckle, the black elf guard swings his sword and goes for your head. You aim a deep lunge towards his throat as he tries to maintain you back with a jab. He favors the other side. Oh, buddy. I feel so overpowered now because he's so weak. Prime another attack. Striding in, you target a calculated lunge to skewer his heart. The black elf guard is wide open, short sword range, and cannot defend himself. He gasps at the force of the attack. You prime another attack. Thundering across the floor, you target a steady stab to skewer his eye. The black elf ducks unsuccessfully. The guard stumbles. He is weakening. He cedes the momentum. Oh, jeez. You try a new strategy. The black elf guard swings for you. Your own overcommitted thrust fails to hit. He lifts his blade against his chest. How's that a defend? Okay. Sealing your courage, you rush forward, hoping to trap the black elf guard on your blade. Moving efficiently, you thrust a piercing lunge to skewer his ankle. Pushes your attack easily away, and a satisfied grin appears. He manages to keep his guard alive. His cautious eyes watch you closely. Get out of here. You preserve the momentum, teasing him with a quick blow, wearing him down. You cut the guard down. 2 stamina lost. Decent dueling. You cut down the third guard, but hear the footsteps of the other two. You bolt the door, and the guard's angrily pounding tells you they have no control over the magic that keeps it sealed. You have made it inside Mompang. You dash for the doorway and then gasp with relief. You are inside. This is a small side yard with further walls between it and the bulk of Mompang, but it is still inside the citadel. The shadow of Mompang falls over you like a cloak, as though the sun itself has dimmed, and you feel suddenly more cold and alone than ever before. But it is nighttime. Yeah, let's go ahead and hit up a pray. Close your eyes and murmur a prayer. It seems the gorilla is still with you, but more quiet now. But instead, a woman's voice in your head whispers, "Good luck," before fading into the murmur of the waves. You have entered the citadel of Mompang. Here, no decision can be rewound. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is crazy. So there's no rewinding. All decisions are permanent. You can only rewind to places outside the citadel. All right. Well, that is certainly good to know. All right. Well, here goes nothing. So yeah, I guess if I die in here, I die in real life. Well, you know, not really real life, but you get the idea. Doo, 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 doo. This is nothing but a small enclosure between the barracks and the smaller outer gate. It's most likely used for training exercises and the like. A small fire crackles in the central brazier, and a few guards sit around it. Let's see what's sort of around this area. Yeah, still probably shouldn't just like go up into a guard. Let's see. The side entrance was perhaps designed for the servants and lower classes who once served as sorcerers of the citadel. It is clearly long since fallen into heavy disuse. A stack of crates rots in one corner, leaning over a heavy inner door that has perhaps not been opened in hundreds of years. Another door in the wall to the southeast seems more commonly used. Guard by the fire talk in low voices. A few guards nod in your direction, and you make a pious gesture in reply. Okay, I guess now that I'm here, they think I'm one of theirs. Stealing your nerve, you go over to the fire pit where the guards are sitting and take place on the ground. One looks at you with keen eyes. Who are you, stranger? A simple monk. We always have time for men of the cloth, one of the guards replies. The other move aside to make a space for you by the fire. After all your experiences so far, it is a strange moment, but not an unwelcome one. You look around the guards, trying to catch one's eye. One smiles thinly. You're guards, then? We're not merchants, the guards reply with a laugh. You like the merchants? Not so much. Merchants are the worst kind of cowards, another agrees. The others nods. You get the impression this is a common line of conversation. Have you heard the rumors of the Analander? You ask. The guard nearest you frowns. The Analander? Is he a sorcerer? A powerful and terrible one. I hate sorcerers, the guard pulls a face. Never heard of him, though. I feel like if I asked if there's a way inside of the Citadel, that's just going to get me killed, so let's just finish talking. You fall quiet, and conversation turns to the state of the barrack latrines, fire in the brazier gutters. One of the guards goes over to the stack of crates, breaks off some wood, and brings it back to fling on the flames. You lie back, curling by the heat of the fire, and fall asleep to the gentle murmur of the guard's conversation. It is a calm, rare moment of companionship. You have not yet eaten today, and you have a few provisions remaining. You eat one of your smoked fish and feel much better for it. Then you lie back and try to forget your troubles. The long night is filled with visions. Jib-jibs are bouncing past you, appearing from all sides, their manic eyes all but popping from their heads. You are standing on top of a tall black tiled tower, clinging to its tiles with one hand, while with the other you wave something in the air. You look in your hand to find you are holding nothing less than the crown itself, and then you hear a crawling sound, and a great shape moves towards you. A birdman? No, a gold-crest eagle shimmering into view. Sightmasters have seen you. They are taking you home. You wait one provision, enters in a Libra, the goddess justice, and the long peace. The archmage remains unaware of you. You get to your feet. The guards have returned to their posts, and the braziers just ashes once more. The sun breaks over the eastern wall. The brazier is now dark. Crates have been discarded over many years, with those at the bottom rotten to a putrescent pulp, while at the top are more or less intact. They rise up almost to the level of the inner wall. The door to the barracks is hanging open. Peering in, you don't see anyone around. A few guards march from the outer gate to the door of the yard. You'll need to find a way further inwards. Let's check out the crates first. You make your way over to the stack of crates. They form a rough tower almost as high as the inner wall, but the wood is rotting and soft to the touch. You look over the crates, but you can get no sense of what they contain. Is that the train? Can y'all hear the train? I guess I should probably go back and watch one of these videos and see if the train is. Let's see, what time is it? It's about an hour 10, hour 12 in. Yeah, I should go back and see if the train... I still need to come up with something cool to do when the train comes. But with this game, I can't really think of anything fun because it's like, this game's pretty set in what you can and can't do. So, I don't know. I'll have to come up with some sort of cool challenge or funny thing to do whenever the train pops up. You open one of the lower crates, cracking the lid just a fraction. It appears they are filled with sludge, not gold. Climbing would be suicide. That stack would topple, and if not, you would be seen. The tower in Inner Bompang awaits. You step over to the door, which is set low into a low arch in the heavy stone wall that shields off Inner Bompang. Looks like it has not been opened in centuries. The hinges have rusted into red metal fists. The door is ancient. The handle is a large iron ring set onto a rusted rivet. Surely it will not simply open if you turn. You reach for the handle, when at a moment a guard emerges from the small doorway and calls to you. You there! Keep away from that! Why? You report. No one touches that, the guard replies, on pain of the Archmage. You lift your hand away. Good, the guard declares with a nod. Can do without scraping up another body from the ground. With that, he goes back inside the barrack block. Let's see, I can cast a spell, I suppose. Can I do a how? Nope, that's not good. I don't want to burn things. I can do a sus, but I can't imagine it really being that great. Let's be cautious for now. You step away from the door once more. Surely there's something else I can do. Let's see. Clues. There's no way from the outer yards of Mount Peak. It is sealed to all. That's no good. There's got to be another way in. You leave the shadow of the door and step into the yard once more. The air stirs a little, still cold but fresh. Where will you look next? I don't want to make any risky moves here. You enter the shade of the barracks. The barracks are reasonably quiet. Most of the guards must be out on patrol. The closed door leads south. You pause and listen at the closed door to the south, and you hear the quiet sound of singing. The language you recognize. It is the common tongue of Analand. You stride into the room. A horned, humanoid creature stretches on a bed, looking as though he has only just woken up. He glances in your direction, opening a pair of exceptionally large eyes. They cover half his face, but the pupils are like those of a cat. You look over his face with growing dread. This is a sight master. What is a sight master doing here inside the walls of Montpang? He blinks very slowly. Greetings, brother, the sight master remarks, nodding to you. You nod in return. He kneels before you. I have done terrible things, brother. You place a hand on his head and wish him luck and happiness. He nods gratefully. Thank you, brother. After what I did to my comrade and sergeant, I thought there was no hope for me. Tell me how to cross the gate. The sight master blinks. He blinks again. Then he sits up a bit to better see your face under the cowl. I know you, he murmurs. You are our champion. He smiles icily at you, an almost predatory look. And are you loyal to the Archmage now? You ask carefully. No, he answers, but I can never return to Analand. What did you do? You demand in a hollow tone. I betrayed one of my own kind. I led him to where he was captured and was made to suffer, and, I think, killed, the sight master replied, all for personal gain. Then you will suffer in your turn. You reply, no blessing can prevent it. He nods, his horns moving sadly, as I have feared. There's nothing you can do to save the sergeant, and any revenge might risk revealing you, but it will not be you dispensing judgment. Without another word, you turn and leave, the ashamed sightmaster still staring at the ground. Well, dang, I had hoped you could help me a little bit more, but apparently I'm pretty judgmental. Okay, cool. Chat, you can hear the train, so that's good. I'll have to think of something cool and fun to do whenever that happens. Step out of the sightmaster's room and close the door behind. You hurry along the corridor. A powerful smell emerges from the smaller door on one side of the corridor. The other side is what looks like a dormitory. You take a deep breath and then cough violently as you place the smell. The small door is a latrine, and the smell coming from it is truly foul. You can go either way down the corridor, but lingering would be a bad move. You stride into the latrines. The smell is horrendous. The room is filthy. Hundreds of flies buzz around a hole in the ground. From the look and smell of the place, it has never been cleaned. A grill in the black wall provides the only ventilation. You shove the nose plugs in quickly, then sigh with some release as the terrible stench fades. Standing on your tiptoes, you peer out of the grill into the wall of the mountain pass outside. The rocky slopes seem wonderfully safe to you now. You peer down into the hole. It is too dark to see much, however, thankfully. The thought of it is too much. You stumble back, leaving the dark hole unexplored. You leave gratefully, removing your nose plug only once the door is closed behind you. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something secret in there, but whatever. You step back into the hallway and gasp in the fresh air. You could go either way from here. You enter the room on the north side of the corridor. Cots line the walls. At the foot of each cot is a small chest. There is also a table in one corner piled with papers and scraps of food. A smaller door leads off to one side. You glance over the cots. One has a strange-looking bundle of sheets on top. You walk over to the bed, expecting some piled blankets, but instead you find a snoozing guard. He rolls and murmurs as you step close, but does not wake. You shake the guard awake. He looks at you blearily, then gets to his feet. Are you lost, brother? He mumbles. These are the barracks. Push off. He rolls over and goes back to sleep. Oh wow, another train so soon. Getting all sorts of fun guest stars on our show today. Leave the guard to sleep. It seems he will be no trouble. You shuffle the papers on top, finding little of interest, letters to villages nestled in high salmon, and a score-keeping sheet for a dice game that must have been quite heated since it is splattered with blood. There's nothing else to see. The lack of orders or written information suggests that guards in Manpeng are ill-informed about events inside the citadel. The guard sniffles a little and rolls over in bed. Through the small door appears to be a changing and storage area. A few cloaks and bits of armor hang on the hooks and walls. Time to move on. You step through the doorway into a small dressing area. Benches line the walls under racks of hooks. You paw through the cloaks, finding parts of uniforms. A hat here, a cloak there, a piece of shoulder armor, but nothing you could use as a full disguise. Pinned to the wall, though, there is a shift rotation scrawled in a rough hand. The list of names is large, nearly the size of the town's entire guard assigned to the main gate and the side yards. Several groups are down to patrol the passes in the crater, while others patrol the outer walls. Just as you suspected, none of these guards seem due to go inside the inner wall. You kneel down to look under the benches, hoping to maybe find a key to the gate in the side yard, but you only find a few old buttons and bits of ancient fluff. You return to the main dormitory. You slip back into the main dormitory room. You flip open a few of the chests and rifle through them. Manpeg's guards are a downtrodden lot, to go by their meager possessions. The first few chests you open are entirely empty. Most likely, the prospect of hot meals would be enough for many guards to sign up, and the threat of violence would convince the rest. You open a few more chests. In one you find a small pouch of gold, but in another you find what is more valuable prize, a complete guard's uniform. Size looks about right, though if you wear it you will have to take off the monk's habit and leave it behind. You remove and discard the monk's habit, which is too large to carry with you, then gather up the guard's uniform and pull it on. Yay, I'm a guard now. I'm so cool. You are now disguised as a guard. The fit is loose, but your face is well enough worn to give you the right look. The uniform should make for an effective disguise. You will now pass for a guard in Manpeng, though the truly sharp-eyed might yet tell the difference. Best to keep moving. Well, that's good to know. I guess, let's see. Does this really give me anything? You hang back for a moment, not wanting to burst out when a guard is outside. A minute passes. The footsteps move on once more. You return to the main dormitory. Now you step back in the main dormitory. Time to move on. The hallway. Powerful smell. Let's see. See if I can go back here and cast a spell to see if there's anything. Anything I can really use here. Gob. I could need a goblin to do it for me, maybe. Let's see. Boop. You pull a goblin tooth from your pack and drop it into the ground, casting your spell across it. The tooth erupts from the column of smoke, and a moment later, a goblin warrior is standing in front of you. You point at the dark hole in the floor, and the goblin gulps visibly before reaching down with a clawed hand into the hole. It rumbles this way and that, and eventually pulls something out inside a clenched fist. You order the goblin to clean the item, and it tries to wipe it off on its tunic, but with little success. A moment later, it pops the object into its mouth and swallows. A moment later, the spell ends, and the goblin disappears in a puff of smoke. Key drops to the stone, filthy with foul muck stuck between the tines, but a key nonetheless. You look and pocketed it. Picking it, but can still make out nothing. No, nothing will persuade you to search it. You leave, gratefully removing your nose plugs only once the door is closed behind you. So what sort of key did I get? Prison cells of Upper Kare? No. Key. Let's see. Keys are always in places like that. Let's see. What's over this way? You stride confidently down the corridor, relying on your disguise to keep you out of trouble. Murmuring voices reach your ear from somewhere close by. You still your breathing and listen, catching a few scraps of conversation from the door to the south. Has Varric heard about the Night Watch? The Samaritans of skin, comes an angry retort. That's what he thinks. Damn, Samaritans are scoundrel, but this is not their style. You lean down to listen at the keyhole. There's no need for them to worry about gates. Exactly, they can fly, right? Still, it's worrying all right. There are hundreds of those blasted birdmen crawling around this place, the other voice continues. I killed a whole lot if it were up to me. I agree. There's a scrape of a chair and footsteps towards the door. You open the door to the room with the voices and stride inside. Inside, you find a guard mid-sentences with fists raised. Behind her, another sits at a table, sawing with a knife. Her eyes narrow. Her eyes flick across your disguise. What are you doing here? This isn't your barracks. This is an inspection. She straightens. Well then, look around. Not much to see, I admit. This is the worst barracks I've seen. The guard rolls her eyes. Don't be like that. Barracks are always bad. Anything else we could do for you? The other guard asks. Where's your captain? She's probably in the yard, kicking everyone into shape. She's easy enough to spot. Second guard beckons you near. She's in a right temper, though, so it might be best to give her a wide berth. Something about smugglers, I gather. Who else is in these barracks? The guard wrinkles her nose. Some Lightmaster. Comes from a distant land. I hear they can see beyond the horizon. The Archmage brought a group of them here to help watch the walls. He has his own room on account of how rare he is. Stuck up, if you ask me. What rank is he, you demand? How should I know? She retorts. All I know is he's a traitor. He killed his own sergeant. Perfect Montpane guard material, puts the other guard ruefully. This is the strangest inspection I've ever seen, the other guards remark. You've not asked to see our daggers once. Show me your daggers. The guard exchange a look. You want to see them now, do you? Not really, you admit. If you can't keep them sharp, you'll be killed. As simple as that. She nods. Fair enough. I'm always in favor of easy inspections. You turn for the door. Step back into the main yard beckons. Yeah, let's try the yard, see what's going on here. You step from the barracks into the main yard. You're in the middle part of the day, and yet the citadel is still cold. The square is busy with traders and their porters carting goods from the gate to high inner wall, where a rack of pulleys and ropes is in constant operation. As expected, there is no door in the wall to the city. Doors are set into the walls that on either side of the yard. To the east, rich smells come from a noisy kitchen. To the west are the barracks. You watch the crews on top of the tall wall, working the pulleys on top of the wall, transferring goods into the city inside. Perhaps there is a way to use them, but you cannot see one. There are scores of people working on every rope, and nowhere to hide. Most of the merchants are stopped at the gate, but a few are allowed to drive their carts all the way up to the far wall. Here their goods are unloaded, strapped to ropes, and hoisted over the wall, presumably into the citadel proper. Gold coins are shuttered back again. It seems remarkably elaborate. You find a merchant, waiting for a free rope. He nods a cautious greeting as you come to stand beside him. My papers are in order, just so you know. Show them to me, you demand. He waves a sheet of documents at you. Right of yard entry, stamped in, not yet stamped out. It's all legal. What are you trading? You ask. Leather, skins, and fibers, the merchant replies. It's a small enough trade, but it serves me well. What are they used for? He shrugs. Shoes and clothes, I suppose? I don't rightly care. Have you ever been inside Montpane? You ask, watching the curious arrangement of pulleys and ropes. Of course I haven't, the merchant replies, looking at you curiously. I'm still here, aren't I? Are you new or something? Just joined the ranks. Then I'd learn the ropes quickly if I were you. Then he elbows you in the side and points at the pulley. Get it? Learning the ropes? A hook descends near the merchant, and he nods farewell before setting about loading his crates onto the hook. No one pays you any attention. Clearly a disguise is good enough to serve. Let's check out the kitchen. Maybe I can get some food there. Opening the door crack, you see a riot of activity and heat. Goblins rush between fires and low tables, carrying heaps of food and pots of water. An enormous hobgoblin stands at the front of the room, shouting orders and waving a cleaver above his head. There might be some useful information to be overheard here. You swing open the door, trying to look like you belong. No one pays you any attention. The large hobgoblin burps as he stirs the stoop. You stroll right up to the hobgoblin by the stove. The head chef looks up to glare at you. You see the kitchen goblins pause, waiting with bated breath. Most have cleavers or knives of some kind, and you're quite considerably outnumbered. No one crawls in here without my permission, the head chef declares from his stove. So tell me fast, why shouldn't I put you in the soup? Guards, the hobgoblin quits. And what did you think I was doing before you interrupted me? Shouting. At your calm replies, the hobgoblin explodes with fury. He rants, calling you a Philistine and bemoaning those who shackle his brilliant. He's in red and puffing with the effort. You nod along to his raving, trying to plot your escape. Oh, he cries, stopping suddenly. So you are the new assistant, then? Why didn't you say so? You frown, puzzled. You must have nodded at the wrong time. You nod again. Better to make soup than to end up in it. The hobgoblin cook is already turning around. Go see Philip, he says, picking up a head of lettuce. She'll get you started. With that, he turns away. You make your way around the corner to where the goblin the head chef pointed out is trying to lift a bag of potatoes that is almost her size. She collapses under the weight, but scrambles out from under the bag when she sees you. She is gigantic for a goblin, but still a head shorter than you. Her apron is mostly stained dirt and a few threadbare ruffles. You reach down a hand and pull her up. Filk, she announces, and you realize with a sickening feeling that she is vainly trying to tidy the thick mound of greasy hair on her head as she speaks. You greet her and explain that you are the new assistant. Philip is clearly impressed. Finally, we have someone who can reach the top shelf. But before you start, there are a few rules. What rules? She nods. First, never annoy the hobgoblin. Second, don't drop anything. Third, don't go in the larder. Hobgoblin is very paranoid about that. He's convinced there are spies everywhere trying to steal his recipes. Frankly, I'm surprised he didn't skin you the moment you walked in. She blushes at some unknown thought. You smile at her, and her piggy goblin eyes open wider than you would think possible. She reaches out to touch her arm. You take her hand and she gasps, then pulls her own hand away, almost knocking over a pile of onions in her haste. Looks like I have a fan. I'm so glad you're here, she says, suddenly talking to Rush. And we need to get the soup made, yes. We feed all the guards in the yard, so we're always busy. You chop these vegetables and get it simmering. I need to grab some roach pig meat. She turns to go, pausing only to stare at you for a long, awkward moment. I'll be right back. You can start the cooking, can't you? If you'll teach me. Philip seems to reel at your words, staggering 2 paces backwards. Her chest heaves. All right, I'll do my best, I will. I will be back in a moment, and you get started on the vegetables. She hurries quickly away, tripping over something else as she goes. Before you is a chopping board heaped with vegetables, onions, turnips, potatoes, and a few purple orbs you don't recognize. You will need a knife. This is fun. It's like a cooking minigame. You go over to the knife rack and pull out a blade. 2 goblins across the kitchens are talking in low voices. Archmage? One replies. It's a bit of wood. The guards prop up against the tower window. The other goblins laugh. You test the edge. It is so dull you doubt it would cut butter. If it is a bit of wood, the second goblin whispers, how do you explain the birdmen? They're not natural. There's a whetstone on the counter. You drag the knife blade back and forth a few times until it is keen. Then you head back over to the counter. Philip steals a quick glance and flashes a crooked smile. I feel like this is not going to end well for somebody. You examine the vegetables. Several are rottens. I'm told the birdmen are breeding, a third goblin hisses to the first 2. I heard they had a nest. Oh, shit. Well, I done fucked that up, probably. You have a brief moment of wondering what on earth you are doing before you pick out the rotten vegetables and toss them away. The passing goblin looks over and remarks to another, seems the new chef's got something to prove. There's no sign of Philip. Don't be stupid, the first goblin whispering nearby hisses. Birdmen can't lay eggs. Think how big they'd be. We'd be using them to make our omelets, wouldn't we? All 3 snigger at the thought. You smoothly and efficiently dice the vegetables with your sharp knife. Philip walks past, carrying a tray of overbaked breads. Stick them in a pot. They look excellent. She offers a quick, nervous smile, then is gone on another errand across the room. Next, you head over to the rack, where random assortments of pots and pans hang from nasty-looking hooks. Most are dented or cracked, and some have holes rusted in the bottom. The group of goblins are still muttering. You should pop through the tunnel and find out, the third goblin says. Oh, except there's no tunnel in the larder, of course. That rumor is totally false. Under a pile of lids without handles, you spot a gleaming new pot. You reach for it, but a goblin with an eye patch shoves in front of you. Hands off, he growls. You ask very nicely for the pot, but it's hard to appeal to this goblin's better nature, as he clearly doesn't have one. He laughs in your face. Resigned, you look elsewhere on the rack. If the birdmen are breeding, does that mean that they might rebel? A 4th goblin asks from the nearby group nervously. The Archmage can't control creatures he doesn't make. You grab a serviceable pot. It is dented and old, but it still hold its water. You lift up your pot and head over to the stove. You found one new clue. I'm a sneaky spy. Rooms of tunnel leading from the outer yards into inner Mampang from the larder. What is the larder? Is that the bathroom? Oh boy, because that's going to be a rough journey if that's the case. Returning back to the stove, you fill the pot with your finely chopped vegetables. You add the cleanest water you can find, which isn't very clean, and place it over the fire. The first whispering goblin shrugs. The Archmage is just a bit of wood in the window, he remarks. I think the birdmen are in charge of this place anyway. You stir carefully, allowing yourself to relax for a moment as you take in the aroma. It's an oddly calming moment, but then your reverie is broken by Philip returning and dumping roach pig meat into the mix. Hot water splashes up. She nods approvingly. Smells good. We should add some flavor. The spices are over there. She hurries away once more. The spices are kept in boxes at the back of the rooms. All the herbs are from Zaman, and you don't recognize a single one. 3 labels stand out. Ant powder, melted curios, red-eyed tears. The label is half torn, but you're fairly sure it says ant powder. It is fine dust. It doesn't smell like anything. It tastes like almonds. Put it back on the rack. Inside the jar is a solid lump of what looks like black wax. It smells like a sewer. From across the room, Philip waves. Not that one, she shouts. That one's for blackening the stove. Something else. Look at the red-eyed tears. Red-eyed tears? Really? Inside the jar is a fizzing, bright red liquid. Drop on your tongue, burns a little, but pleasantly. Okay, I'll try the ant. Perhaps the last jar is preferable. Take the ant powder. You grab your jar, hoping that what inside is edible. It tastes like almonds. That's probably pretty good, right? You unscrew the jar. It smells pleasant. You pour some into the pot and Philip watches. The soup bubbles and churns. The goblins continue to whisper until the head chef walks past and smacks one over the head with a copper-based pot. All fall silent. You lift a spoonful and take a taste. It is surprisingly palatable. You stir the broth. Excellent smells rise up from its surface. At Philip's insistence, the hobgoblin comes over to sniff the pot. Not bad, he grumbles. What's in it? Roach pig. The hobgoblin cook nods. Good. I'm glad somebody around here cares about cooking. No one here appreciates good ingredients like me. I am Throg, the most careful chef in Mampang. Throg takes a spoon and sips carefully. Then he sputters, clutching his chest. He staggers back. Philip turns to you. What's in there? Ant powder. She frowns, puzzled. Indeed, look. You show her the jar. Horrified, she snatches it. The label's torn, you fool, she yells. It's not ant powder, it's mutant powder. Oh, shit. I tried so hard to be good. Throg shrieks. He stumbles around the kitchen, knocking down goblins and unending platters. His eyes bulge, and he croaks. His jaw drops and drops and drops. Jaw's jaw extends into his belly, his cheeks lengthening and rubbing. His tongue lengthens, too, and lolls out of his now massive mouth like a snake. Mutant-tish powder, he screams. You can barely understand him. A spy! Get him and we'll use him for meat! Philip, I'm sorry, you began. She stares at you, but does not have the time to reply, as the goblins are coming for you. Throg supervises as best he can as you are thrown across the room, coming to rest against the side of a massive pot. Then he rolls up his jaw like a scroll and tucks it under his teeth. Goblins cling to your ankles like rats. You try to leap over the counter, forgetting that 3 goblins are crushing your legs. You launch yourself, only to flail as you crash to the ground, bashing your head on the counter as you go. You land dazed and are dragged over to the pot once more. You plead with them, but it does no good. The mass of goblins around you is overwhelming. One clonks you on the head with a soup pot, dazing you. Throg roars above the chaos. Leave his armor on! It'll keep the meat juicy and tender! Well, I guess I'm dead. All because I chose the wrong spice. See, that's how important knowing how to cook is. Because if you don't know how to cook, you'll get murdered by goblins. The goblins dump you into the pot along with a shower of vegetables. One dumps gravy all over your head before clamping down a heavy lid. You push on the lid, but as soon as you lift an inch, a trio of goblins slam it back down. The pot is getting any hotter now. The heat increases. You're having trouble thinking. You lack the focus to cast a spell now, and you can feel your flesh start to cook. You manage to focus in the stifling heat. You close your eyes and raise a prayer to the gorilla. A moment later, you hear a goblin shriek. The fire is out of control! You're clanging, goblins running. You shove the lid aside and it clatters to the floor. You leap out, singeing your hands on the hot metal. The kitchen is in chaos. A gorilla caused a spark from the fire to ignite a pile of peppers. The goblins are putting it out. Once the fire has died, most flee the kitchen fearing your wrath, but one chef still stands. A furious Throg! You draw your assassin sword and circle Throg. Some goblins shout encouragement, but it's unclear who they are encouraging. Alright, Throg, well, I don't like people that try to cook me, so... The cook yanks 2 cleavers from a butcher's block and bellows. Goblins scatter left and right. He kicks a goblin aside and leaps at you. You raise your own sword for a brutal attack, knocking him backwards. The cook sharpens his cleaver against his knife blade. Alright, let's do a mid-attack. I'm assuming he's gonna... Oh, shit. That's bad. Then he catches you off guard as you slice your blade around in a wide arc, leaving yourself open. The cook bangs his knives together and stabs for your neck, cursing the incompetence of his goblin helpers all the while. You sense the bloodlust in your opponent's eyes. Suddenly, he pauses, muttering about what to season you with, vaulting over the pot, lashing out with his sword as you land. He thinks and dodges back, defending himself. The cook grins. All the sweat you're working up will only help it marinate. He growls. He circles around a counter. The cook leans one hand against the counter and holds up the other, panting for breath. Just give me a second, he wheezes. You go on the attack, carrying him with your blade. I hate it when the meat fights back, he curses, stepping back with a cleaver raised. He staggers backwards, almost dropping his equipment. The cook tests his cleaver on his thumbs. You lot better have a stock boiling, he yells over his shoulder. Ah, jerk. You keep up the pressure, swinging out with your blade knocking aside a Seuss cook as well. His own knife stroke is knocked aside. The cook roars with anger. It's impossible to get good help these days, nor polite dinners. You're all gristles, the cook winces. Ah, shit. Dang, I'm losing way too much stamina for this fight. The cook fights hard for supper. You try a fast attack, keeping yourself as much covered as you can. He steps out violently. He steps back. There we go. I was just trying too hard to finish it quickly. And I got murdered. You press forward, tossing a handful of dust into his eyes. Then you cut out as he staggers. Your strike passes between the cook's blade, piercing his neck. He staggers backwards, his own blood mixing with the stains on his apron, and tumbles into the pot. 5 stamina lost, shameful. Throg was a bad cook and an even worse fighter. He slumps to the ground, and the remaining goblins clearly don't know whether to cheer or kill you. They flee back to their work instead. From a short way away, Felix stares transfixed. You grab a few loaves of bread and slip them into your pack. No one argues. The kitchen staff are all now back to work, noses down. Clearly they are all hoping you will leave. Well, that was a fun cooking adventure. You make your way across the room to the far door. No one stops you. Damn right no one stops me. So what's in the larder? I was trying to be sneaky, but oh well. You open the door and slip into the larder. It is stocked with food that looks actually edible, unlike most of what is piled in the kitchen. There doesn't seem to be much more to it, except that you are told that somewhere in here is a secret passage to the heart of the fortress. The door is open behind you, and Felix steps in, somewhat breathlessly. I can't believe you did that, she hisses. Everyone's saying you're going to take over as head chef. I'm no chef, you tell her. What do you mean? I know your cooking wasn't up to much, but you can learn. I'll teach you. I cannot stay, you tell her. I must move on. Where are you going? She demands. Take me with you. Where I'm going is dangerous. I've been a cook in the outer yard kitchen. I'm not afraid of danger. She comes to stand beside you. So, she says, what shall we do next? You quickly gather up a good number of loaves of bread and blocks of cheese, along with a few more obscure items. This should hopefully keep you stocked for the rest of your journey. Philip watches you nervously. If Throg was still here, she comments, he'd skin you alive for thieving. Philip winds her hands roughly, clearly building up the courage to say something. What is it? You ask. Oh, nothing. I'm just sorry about what happened in there, she says. They don't usually cook new recruits. Were they joking? She shakes her head. No, I don't think so. You knock on a nearby wall, hoping to hear something of interest. There is nothing. There's a shout from the doorway, and Philip dashes over to peek out. She knocks over 2 sacks clumsily as she goes. Flour spills across the floor. By red nostrils, she curses. I should have been born a troll. Flour has made a curious pattern in the stone. Never mind, you reply softly. Felix shakes her head. You're nice, she replies. No one's nice to me. What should I get from here? You ask Felix. She looks at you, eyes wide. What would you like? She replies. You search around the shelves and come across an interesting old cloth bag that rattles when you pick it up. You open the string on the bag and tip out the contents. 3 oversized teeth tumble onto your palm. Giant's teeth, Flick remarks. If you boil them for, about a week, they make quite a powerful stock. Good for special occasions. You nod and slip the teeth into your money pouch. You offer some food from the shelf to Philip, but she pushes it away, clear panic in her eyes. I couldn't, she hisses. What if someone walked in? The spilled flour has indeed picked up a strange pattern on the floor, as if someone had tried to scuff away footprints near one particular floorboard. What is it? Philip demands. Have you seen something? Inspecting carefully, you notice a thin seam running across some floorboards. A less clever observer would have never noticed it. You pick up a nearby fork and pry at the seam. A section of floor pops up onto disguised hinges. A trap door! Philip gasps. Is that a cellar or is it a tunnel? Where does it lead? You ask her. She shakes her head. I have no idea, she replies. Inside the city? You peer down into the darkness below the kitchen. A chill breeze is rushing along the tunnel. You must go for some distance. It really is, Philip breathes. A tunnel under the wall. I don't know, I feel like this is too easy. I believe so, she shivers. I won't be able to sleep again knowing that's here. Philip is tense as you peer down into the hole. You could turn back or descend below. Well, I'm going. I feel like if she comes with me, it's going to end badly. You climb downward into the tunnel, squinting in the dim light. It's narrow, but there doesn't seem to be anyone in it. Are you really going? Philip whispers from above. I have to, you tell her. Will you come back this way? She demands. We've only just met. Most likely not. But I can't come with you. Look at that tunnel. I won't fit. Isn't there another way? No. You don't even tend to try, she replies. I need to go now. Goodbye, she whispers in reply. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. With that, she closes the trapdoor over your head. You hear the scrape as a flour bag is shifted on top of it and the distant wail of tears. There is no turning back now. Well, that was sad. The romance that only ended in tragedy. As I knew it would when it started. You slither and slide your way down into the darkness of the tunnel. It's unclear who built this. There are no supports or indications of construction. There seem to be tooth marks in the walls. You splash on through the shallow water. The rock walls drip with dank moss, and the smell is stale and fetid. There's no way to tell how much more of this there is to go. Well, at least I'm making progress. Boop. You splash onwards. The tunnel turns a corner here, rising upwards towards a chink of light. You climb upwards, using the rough edge of the tunnel as footholds to ascend. There's a fresh scent from somewhere overhead. After some more clambering, you come within sight of a grate in the ceiling. Light filters through, and standing right on top of it are a pair of feet. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. I meant to look at it. I misclicked again. I've been really bad about clicking this time, but I can't rewind. You grab a pebble and toss it up at the grate. The guards stop talking immediately, and you see the feet move this way and that. What was it? One hisses. It sounds like it came from. The second replies, trailing off, and the feet step clear of the grate. You wait and watch what will happen. A moment later, an eye appears at the grate. It blinks twice, trying to focus. By Gred, the eye's owner declares a moment, there's a man down there. Greetings. Greetings, the reply is the guard unsunkily. What are you doing down here? I was thrown down here. Who by? The guard demands. Birdman. The guard murmurs to himself. Well, I can believe that well enough. You see this guard dress his skin. Well, what are we going to do with you? Can you get me out of here? Not sure this will open, but I suppose we can give it a go. Least we can do for our fellow guard. After much huffing and puffing, along with a pry bar, the guards manage to wrench the grate open. One reaches down and pulls you out. With a clap on the shoulder and wrinkled noses, they send you on your way. Well, that was easy enough. See, that's why being nice to people sometimes just works out. You step onto the dirt of Mompang and kick the grate shut behind you. You're in a narrow alley between two large buildings. At the far end, you see a glimpse of some kind of plaza. The sun has almost set. The sky has turned a deep purple. Soon it will be dark once more. You slip your way forwards. Alright, well, I'm in the main city now. Or citadel, I guess. This place is huge. Alright, well, let's keep moving onward. I've only got about 10 minutes left, so we'll see how far we can make it in that time. There's barely enough space to walk between the two buildings, which lists inwards on both sides. The buildings on both sides are topped with large glass globes, and one on the right larger than that on the left. You slide onwards down the alleyway. The alley widens out a little here as it approaches the square's end. You are inside the city. Time to explore. Looking around, you are surprised to find that this part of Mompang is more like a city than you expected. There are merchants, laborers, and swaggering guards. Washing hangs from hooks outside the stacked houses. Of course, there are far more wicked glares and knives tucked into belts than even in Kare. Suddenly, you feel hooked fingers catch your arms. You turn around and catch a glimpse of a hoary old beggar pulling at you, but then something happens and you lose sight of him. A moment later, the tall buildings of Mompang that you traveled so far to reach have disappeared. Oh, great. So this is like a greatest hits flashback of like my journeys, I suppose. You stand in a human climate. but weird, I don't remember going to this section. Hmm. Or wait, maybe I do. I don't know. It's been so long since I played this section. You stand in a humid climate. Tall plants lean down on all sides, and a thin, watery sunlight leaks through some kind of glass ceiling choked with weeds. You look around startled. The beggar is still here, but no longer holding your arm. He stands taller and seems better fed. That's better, he declares. Now we can talk more freely. Where are we? This is my favorite little spot of mine, a forgotten corner of Carre, the lost gardens of Briar. Even the gardeners who work here can't remember the way in. It's on all the maps, but no one can find the entrance. My own little fortress. He reaches rather timidly for a nearby plant and pulls it off a graying leaf. Who are you? My name is Throbbin. The beggar bows most politely. You notice that he wears a circlet of finger bones on his head. Some have called me necromancer, but they only mean that death has never stopped my work. Greetings. He bows again. Throbbin smiles. Come, let's walk a little, shall we? He begins to saunter between the trees, and you follow. What have you done? Moved us elsewhere, Throbbin replies, so we can talk. This place is hidden from the Archmage, you observe. Quite so, Throbbin replies. The Archmage would chew a death sponge mushroom and then eat my brains if he had the chance. Best for us all. If that doesn't happen. Throbbin points to a nearby flower. Do you see this one? Purple thornweed. Only grows in one place, the slopes above my home village. Where's that? I grew up in the same village as the Archmage, you know. A small place called Kariyama. Maybe you've heard of it. He sweeps away, his face hidden from view. This way now. I do feel like I recognize that term, but I can't remember where it is. I've been playing this game for quite some time. He steps between two plants and disappears. You push your way between the plants and find the beggar waiting. Only now he is no beggar, but a tall, handsome man wearing a long cloak embroidered with runes of power. There you are, he booms. I was told to expect you. Told by who? A younger self, I think, he replies, though it is not always easy to tell. He frowns. Please excuse any confusion. I use these gardens for conversations quite extensively, but I have to space them out. One cannot have things overlapping. Now then, he smiles, I believe will be, talking about Mampang and your impending death. Will you help me? I won't save your life, if that's what you mean, he replies. I may make your death a little more valuable, however. He points up. The dome is gone, and it is now nighttime. Stars shine overhead. I like these gardens for one reason above all. Can you see what it is? You say nothing, certain he will continue. He sighs with evident pleasure. Look up there, he declares, pointing and proving you quite correct. This is one of only two places in Kare where the stars of the Zed spell can be seen. The other is by the north gate, but that spot's rather too busy. What do you know of the spell? The mention of Zed makes you stop short. The secret magic, the most powerful knowledge, unknown to all. What do you know of that spell? You demand. Zed, he intones, is the great discovery of the necromancers, a spell powered by and fascinated by death. Some thought it prevented death, but it does not. Quite the opposite. The stars of Zed cause a death of the most significant, final kind. What kind of death is that? A true death. The absence. But the secret is too powerful to share openly. Please. He gestures at another path, leading between trees as wide as bears that have fallen together to form an arch. After you. You slip under the arch and arrive in a field of bright yellow and purple flowers, terrifically overgrown. Brambles choke the edge of the path. The man does not follow. You call out, but hear no response. Seems you are quite alone. High above, you see two harpies flying past, screaming to each other and pointing, but they are not coming for you. You search the bushes, but find nothing. There's nothing hiding there, nothing waiting for you. The beggar has abandoned you. It seems you must find the path to Mampang yourself. You push forward through the towering flowers into an area of clackboo paving and fronded shrubs in glass pots. To your relief, the beggar is here once more. He looks older than ever. Now you understand, he issues. Now you see why you have to die. I do not understand you. I'll tell you all you need to know, he says. The Zed spell is difficult to cast, you see, because you can't cast it at once. You have to cast it at two separate times. 2 times, but one casting. Got it? Like left and right hands clasped together. He demonstrates, linking thumbs and finishing his fingers like a butterfly. You say nothing, and the beggar continues to talk. So you cast it then and before, and when both castings are cast, they are the same casting. Two castings at different times cannot be at different times, so the time between disappears. He squashes his butterfly fingers into a single two-handed fist. The time collapses? Beautifully put, he replies. The beggar spits a tooth and then picks it up to admire. Be valuable that, one of these days, he remarks. You reach down for it. Uncouth villains, he curses, batting your hand away. Now we'd best be getting on. We don't want you coming back here when you finally die. You nod. Whatever the beggar is talking about is impossible to follow. Thorben clenches his dirt-smudged eyes and concentrates, and slowly the walls of Montpang return. There you are again, smiles the beggar, who is now back as he began. He lifts a crooked finger. Not a word. There are spies everywhere. One last thing to do. Draw your sword. You obediently draw your blade. Thorben beams with glee, and then before you can stop him, he runs himself deep onto the blade. For the ghost of the Bachlands, I curse you with this, he whispers, and there is fury in his eyes. In the last moments you see him hurl up his arms, creating some kind of incantation. Terrible force builds around his body, but then seems only to only half explode. You are caught at the moment of death. The explosion dies away, its force curiously unspent as though waiting, but you feel stronger for it. Well, okay then, that was fun. You look around, still disoriented. There is no sign of the beggar. The narrow alley mouth opens onto the square. Darkness closes in. You need to rest, especially on an empty stomach. Well, that was interesting. I think I'm going to have to end this episode soon because I have a lot to think about. The alley isn't a bad place to rest. It is quiet, secluded, and offers plenty of shadow. Settling down to your pack, you try and stretch out despite the wind. You have eaten nothing today, and you have ample provisions left. Taking the cooked fish from your pack, you fill your empty stomach. Then you get comfortable and rest. The night is kept busy with vivid dreams. You are curled up on a bed of straw and bones. A birdman is carefully plucking grit from your skin and nuzzling you with his cruel hooked beak. But you are safe, warm. She feeds you with still living rabbit. You are lying on a cool, moist ground underneath a tall, swaying tree. There's a nagging pain in your leg. You look down to see a sapling growing up through your thigh. You try to move away, but you are attached to the ground, as though the roots of the sapling were your own tendons, and all the while you hear distant laughter from the east. Alley between buildings. During the past day, you gained several provisions and some gold, visited the barracks, disguised yourself as a guard, and were cursed with the Zed spell. Archmage remains unaware of you. You get quickly to your feet. You have not been discovered, but you should not wait any longer. Alright, well, I think that's as good of a point as any to end this. I am very confused. I feel like I stumbled onto a lot of traps, and I feel like I can see my impending doom, and I have no way to prevent it. So that's always fun. Yeah, hopefully I'll think on these clues, and maybe I can figure out what the hell is going on. Because, I mean, he started the Zed spell. I'm assuming if that completes, it will suck really terribly. So I don't know. I guess I need to figure out some way to either counter it or stop it from being cast the second time. But I don't know. I guess we shall see. I mean, I don't know. If I die, I may have to start back from the beginning of the fortress, so that'll be fun for everybody. But we'll see. I mean, at this point, whatever happens, happens. We'll have to go, and hopefully the Crown of Kings will be mine soon enough. Or if not, at least it'll hopefully be a very entertaining death. But anyway, that's it for tonight. Thanks once again for joining me, and if you enjoyed this episode, I'll be live again next Monday at 6 o'clock Central. So you can hopefully join me then. Otherwise, like and subscribe and tell all your friends and all that good stuff because, that's the only way that I can actually make this into a real show as opposed to just like, whatever. But anyway, that's it for tonight. And, yeah, Forlong, that's an interesting point. Maybe I need to cast it, but I didn't cast it there. It was somebody else who casted it, so I don't know. But anyway, so that's it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a good night. Later.